First, I start with this back plate. It has 8 screws. There's 4 on this side and 4 on this side. And then I take the screws off and the back plate comes off, just like that. And then there's 2 screws that hold this plastic piece here. I took those off and then the plastic piece come off. Then the next 2 are these 2 for the wires. I took those screws off. And then this front plate with the switch has 6 screws. I took that off. And here are the 6. So it all lined up with the same way the top part is lined up, so I know where it goes. Alright, once I've taken that off, I flip the truck to its side. And then I took off these 4 screws. These 4 right here. Because these 4 are holding the CenterDiff mount to the chassis. And then these 2 screws are holding the steering servo to the chassis. So that has to come off. And once I've taken that off, I can move the whole steering servo. See, that's why you want to take it off from the bottom so you can take it off the chassis. And then at this point, because this pinion gear was in the way of the whole mount, I had to loosen up these screws where the heatsink is, and then I pushed the motor all the way back, just like that. So now you have clearance. Let's see if I can show you guys that. Now there's clearance for this little piece to come out. So all you gotta do is wiggle this whole CenterDiff out. It'll fall off from the dog bone or the CVD axle. And there's the CenterDiff. Pretty cool. Changing my spur gear today because it's stripped and I got a metal part, which is awesome. And then to take off this mount thing, there's 4 screws right here. And the screws are right here. I've taken them off already. Let's try to do this with one hand. Oh, I can't. There's the CenterDiff. Alright, so this is how I'm changing the spur gear on my CenterDiff. I started with taking these 4 screws off, which is right here, and then I pulled this bearing off. It comes right off, and then I transfer it onto this thing, this new part. And now the bearing's there, and then since I took the screws off, I could take this apart. It's really greasy. And you can put this to the side because you're going to be using that. And then this part here, what you do is you just pull this up, it comes off, put that to the side, and then there's a pin right here, take that off, put that to the side, and then there's like a little washer and an O-ring, and then this thing could slide right off this side here. Put that to the side, and then you want to keep this ring and O-ring to put it on the other one, the new part. Here's the old part. It's pretty yeah, it's pretty grinded. So I'm gonna get the new part, and then I'm gonna start by putting this thing back on. So I want to put this part in first, where the bearing's at, and then I want to start with the O-ring and the washer. That's the reason why we keep it from the old one. So the O-ring goes in first, washer goes in next, and then you put that little pin back in. Try to center it as good as you can, and then you put this gear back on. There we go. And once that's on, you could turn this upside down and put it on here. And then once it's on here, you could take the new gear, put that on, and it should look like that. And simply screw everything back on. Alright, so I've changed the spur gear. It's heavier than before, and yeah, it feels beefier too. Let's put this back. So I want to start with this back part. There we go, it's in place. Then I want to push the motor up, line it up with the gear. Kind of right there is fine. I'm gonna adjust it anyways. And then I'll start tightening up these screws. And then I'll put the servo back on. And I'll put this back on. Well, first I need the plastic part. This thing here that holds it together. That goes there. This plate goes here. This wire goes here, and we should be good. So I'm gonna screw all these back on, and then I'm gonna flip the truck over to the side and screw those 4 back in, and then these 2 back in, and then everything should be back and running. And then from there, I'm gonna be adjusting the pinion gear so it can line up with this thing here. Alright, so I'm gonna put it back together and see how it goes. Alright, so here's the finished product. There's the new spur gear and the CenterDiff. Everything is put back together. This back plate is put back. This wire mount is put back. This front plate is put back. I screwed in these 4 screws here, which is the CenterDiff mount, and then these 2 screws, which is for the steering servo. I also added some grease to the gear, the pinion gear and the new spur gear. And yeah, that's it, guys. So that's how you remove the CenterDiff, or if you want to replace the spur gear like what I did, that's how you're gonna do it. Yeah, it's pretty easy, but it's a lot of steps. Thanks for watching, guys. Give it a thumbs up if you like.